Hi, I'm Fiona Killackey and I'm inviting Sage and Clare into my home for a heart-to-heart. I run a business called My Daily Business, and I guess the essence of it is that we help small business owners find ways to love their life and their business on the daily.
So tell us, what drew you to this home? What made you buy it?
This is a long story, but we used to live in a log cabin around the corner and we were extending it or hoping to extend, and it took forever, just the drawings. There's so many council regulations around here. And Phoebe actually was like, why don't you have a look around, see what's out there? The same day, the mortgage broker was like, have a look around. And then this happened to have just come back on the market. It had been off the market for a little while. And I just came in. I came in those doors and I just fell in love. I was like, this is my house. I love the character. I love that it's quirky. It's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. I just love like the history of it. It's like you wonder what sort of stories happened here.
There was a few main features that made you fall in love with the house. What are they?
The height of the ceilings was a massive one. They're like 6.5 meters high. I also love mud brick, but two things nailed it. One is when I went upstairs, the first stained glass window I saw was of a ship, and my dad was a captain on a ship for 30 years. So I was like, oh, it's a sign. And then I walked around the corner to the dining room and there's another stained glass and it's kookaburras, which is my symbol for my mum. So I was like, okay, mum and dad have found this house for me, and that is what, absolutely solidified it. I was like, I have to have this house.
What inspires your interiors?
I am just all about story, and I like things to have a story behind them. Everything in this house has a story, whether it's like, oh, I met this person and then they had this artwork and I went to their garage sale and I bought it, or this is from my dad, his travels on the ship, or, you know, all sorts of things. This is from Collective Closets, who are one of my first clients. They're amazing. This is from my husband's work. This is an artist that my husband was obsessed with and bought, I don't know, at some point. This is from these people in like the top of Canada who gave it to my dad in like the 1970s when he was on the ships. This is from one of our first trips to Bali. This is Halley's Comet. I'm quite old, and Halley's Comet was like the biggest
No,
thing.
you're not.
But in the 80s, when I was a little kid, Halley's Comet came, and it only comes around once every like 70 or 80 years. And so you usually only see it once in your lifetime. And I saw this plate recently and I was like, oh, Halley's Comet, because it was such a huge thing in the media. We all ran up to the top of the driveway. We were all watching it. So that, and then this is an Anthony Burrell print, which I got years ago, which I've come to so many times when I've doubted myself, and I look at it. So like every single thing in my house has a story. And so that inspires how I put it all together.
So what are your favourite pieces of art and decor in your home?
Again, they have to have a story. I love these chairs. These are from Annika Studio. She's an amazing maker and designer in Melbourne. Originally from France. She was one of the first people, she was the first person I ever interviewed for the Design Files. This I got from Tyab Antique Centre. It's my favourite place to go. This is 120 years old and came from Paris originally. And when I saw it, I just died. And then I was like, oh, it's expensive. But I was like, no, I love it. I love it so much. This table, but my favourite table is this, the polar bear table. I don't know if you can see that. That is from Tyab Antique Centre. Well, it's not. Here's the story. In 2018, I saw that table at Tyab Antique Centre. I was like, we don't have any space in the log cabin, but I'm obsessed. And then I put it on Instagram, and then the next day I called the guy because I was like, you know what, actually, I totally regret not buying it. And he was like, nah, it's gone. And then I spent 5 years, Bonnie, putting alerts on Facebook Marketplace for polar bear anything. I got all the cookie jars and all the stuff. Everything would show up except this. Last year, the day before my birthday, I was just flicking through it and I was like thinking of my mum and do all this stuff. And then honestly, I saw it and I was dying, and I contacted the guy and was like, oh, it's the same polar bear table I've been looking for 5 years. And I was taking my kids to the movies, and you can't have your phone on in the movies. So I was just like trying really secretly to check, have they, like, I do not want to lose this.
I hate it when they leave you hanging.
I know. And then we got out and the guy said, yes, but can you come today? And it was so far away, but I, best believe I drove there. And I just love it. We call him Paolo the polar bear. And it's the best thing I feel like I've ever bought. So this is a picture that I got for my husband's 40th. It's actually him modelling for this great brand that used to exist in the UK called Aggie and Sam. And when it was coming to his 40th, I actually found the brand, found the photographer, got the print, got it printed and then framed, and surprised him with it. But you can't tell it's him, which is the only reason he'd allow us to have it in the living room. This is from Hannah Nolan. I love her. She is the most beautiful soul and also the most incredible artist, and I bought that a few years ago. I love it so much. And this is a print that I got in 2020 from this artist that was all about like, thank you for all of the conversations and all the things that are opening up in 2020 that potentially probably should have been definitely talked about before then. Another gift for my husband years ago, you can get yourself as the Simpsons. So this is my family when my son was a baby, but it just made us laugh so much and I love it every time I see it.
Okay, let's go up to the bedroom. What's your relationship with sleep?
Well, I had a tricky relationship with sleep for a long time. I have two kids, one's 12, one's almost 6, and both of them were crap sleepers. So I'd read all this stuff where it'd be like, get 8 hours, do this. And I was like, well, that's fine for people whose children sleep. Mine did not. However, about a year and a half ago, I got an Oura ring. It has changed my life because it is like a game and you want to check your sleep and it will give you a little ping of like, you need to go to sleep, or hey, you should probably go to sleep even later because you're, that's more attuned to your body clock. This has been game changing.
Really?
And I have to say my sleep, which has in turn helped, my colds, getting sick, irritability, all of that. This has been amazing.
So tell us what book you're reading at the moment.
I'm usually reading like 2 or 3 at any one time, but at the moment I am reading The Trauma Cleaner, which I have wanted to read for ages, and then I found it at Op Shop the other day. It is so interesting. It's about the woman who has an agency that cleans like when people are hoarding or when people are having like meth labs or when people have been murdered, and it's just fascinating because I actually just thought the government or the police or something would clean that up, but no. So it's really fascinating. Maybe not the best to read before bed.
How do you practice self-care and what brings you calm?
Calm, I would say a hot cup of tea. It's all I dream about. And when I left my last job to start my business, part of my reason was like, I want a hot cup of tea. Often will get my tea or my coffee and I'll sit on this couch and I'll just look out at the view and I just always feel calm. We do have a little meditation space there, which I like to use occasionally. And also just, I think, being super present with my kids as much as I can be like, oh, I've got to get this done or that done. And I'm just lying next to them in bed and we're just laughing, or even just like they're falling asleep and I'm just listening to them. That is like a deep sense of calm.
So favourite pieces in your bedroom?
Probably these chairs. I got them again at Facebook Marketplace years ago with the plan to reupholster them. Haven't done that yet, but actually I don't mind the colour that they are. They're very comfortable. They're very 1980s. I also love, this is more recent, the blue couch over there, which actually has an interesting story. I was talking to one of the mums at school, one of my son's friends' mums, and she was talking about her mum, and I was like, oh my gosh, she has a very unusual name. Does she live like in this suburb? And she was like, yes. And I was like, oh my God, I just bought a blue couch from her. And she's like, no, the blue couch. And I was like, oh, have I taken the couch that you wanted?
What a small world.
It's such a small world. It is
6
such
degrees
a small
of separation.
World. Honestly, it really is. So be kind to everyone you meet.
What's your favourite thing to cook for guests?
If I can be bothered, or if it's like, a good family day, I will always do a big roast. I'm really good at roasts, if I do say so myself. But I grew up like with a Sunday roast every single Sunday. So I love doing that. If not, I like things that you can just sort of nibble at. So tacos, falafels, and like, just pita breads and stuff. Things that people can sort of feed themselves, and anything with dip. I'm a huge dip fan. I love dip.
So where can we find your Insta and your podcast?
So Instagram is just at @mydailybusiness_. The podcast is just called the My Daily Business Podcast, and you can find it anywhere that you listen to podcasts.